I thought we played really well in the first two periods. Thought even the first 3 minutes of the third period, scored a power play goal. We're doing really what we wanted to do, and then give them credit. I mean, they're a good hockey team, and they push back. Thought we got a little out of sorts, and they took advantage of that. So not too happy with the third period. And so I think we continue to learn lessons. It's as we're building this program and you're going through the different stages of building a program, you have to learn some lessons. And not that you're not always learning lessons, no matter what the year is or where you're at in your progression as a program. But we're certainly doing that. We're now playing in games that are rivalry games. We're now playing in games where, everybody knows that we can play the game at a high level. So you have to prepare differently. You have to have a different mindset, and that mindset has to be consistent from shift to shift, period to period. And so we're learning those lessons, and I like the fact that we're learning them. I don't like the fact that we have to go through them, and it doesn't feel great. But at the same time, it's a necessary step for our program and the progression that we're going through. That'll make us better in 3 months, in 2 months, in years to come.
Is it an oversimplification to say play a full 60 minutes?
No, I think that's part of that mindset. It's part of being okay with playing the same way every time you step on the ice. And certainly the teams that can do that and play consistent are the ones that have a lot of success. And we're not there yet, and that's something we got to continue to work on.
Coaches in the NHL will tell me to break the season down into 10-game blocks. You break them down into blocks now, even though it's a much shorter season for you, or are there points in the season where you look for check marks?
Well, yes. I mean, we're always constantly evaluating where we're at. I think if we take two of the games out of this 10-game block or 9-game block that we've had, we've played some pretty good hockey. We've played some stretches where we were really good, and then we've gotten into some stretches where we weren't. And so, again, if you take the two games that who I'm talking about away, we're a 500 team. So I think that's probably a good indication of where we've been. We've been up and down a little bit, not consistent enough. Same things we're talking about here as we started the press conference. So we got to get better. And it's not about getting better, in all areas of our game where you have to go and get 50% better. It's just a little attention to detail. It's just being consistent, because if you do those little things right, those details that are right throughout the game, at the end of the night, they end up adding up, right? And so that's what we need to do.
How much has it become mental things versus physical things, or is it a combination? Where would you put the breakdown between mental things and physical things?
Well, there's a whole, thing out there about sports psychology. So we've debated whether it's 90% mental and 10% physical over the years, and certain experts will give you a rundown on all that. Of course, it's all part of it. It's part of the mindset. It's part of the physical attributes that you have to play to your strengths and all those things. So I think our guys are they love each other so much. They care about each other. They want to do well. They work extremely hard on and off the ice. And so sometimes when it gets into a pressure situation, they want it so bad that they just forget to simplify it a little bit. And so we need to kind of just gear down a little bit, and not go 100 miles an hour all the time, and just survey the situation and play the game the right way.
As a coach, how do you teach that part of it? Because you can tell them show them in video. But like you say, sometimes the emotion gets into it, and you can't be in their heads or inside their bodies when the emotions are heated. How do you do that as a coach?
Wouldn't it be nice if we put something in their ear and you could talk to them the whole time, like
Go on one of my
NFL
microphones, I'll give
quarterbacks?
you
Listen, it's a, I feel very fortunate to have a group of young men that love each other and care about the game so much. So for us, it's just continue to do what we're doing, focus on the details. My job and our job as a staff is to continue to push them in the right direction, make sure that we're coaching them up, loving them up. When we see things like that, we've got to point them out. But this isn't an issue of us not being able to do it, right? And so I'm not going to give you all my secrets as a coach, but we're in a good spot. We're going to, we're getting there. We're learning a lot of good lessons, and we'll continue to work towards that.
You got Bowling Green coming in this week. What can we expect from them?
I picked them to finish high in our league. I think they're a well-balanced team. I know Dennis is a very good coach. I've known him for a long time now, and he, back even in the early 2000s when he was there at Bowling Green as an assistant, and certainly he's had a great track record in junior hockey in Canada. And so I think you're going to find a team that's very similar to us in terms of their work habits, in terms of the way they play. They push the envelope. They've got some skill up and down their lineup. Their goaltending is great. And it's another CCHA weekend where you've got to, play to your strengths and be detailed and be disciplined and be ready to go.
A trend last year that a lot of media talked about pretty consistently was your success in games 2. Saturday it came out, looked a little more structured, a little more within yourself. Hard to not notice a similar trend this last weekend, where that last third period against Minnesota State, things kind of got off the rails a little bit, and then Saturday you guys played a really well defensively minded game, stayed within your structure. Is it something that we're just making up, or is there something with the makeup of this team that has it going out differently on a Friday versus a Saturday?
Well, I think you can dissect all the analytics you want from night to night. I thought we played really well on Friday, probably better than we played Saturday. You would hope that going into a second game of a series, you've made some adjustments and your guys understand it a little bit better. So I think from what you're saying, I feel like it's a compliment to our program. But at the same time, for me, it's about being physically and mentally ready to play in our game and play to our identity. And if we can do that from shift to shift, you're going to have some success. In college hockey, you play back to back. The hardest thing to do is sweep a team. Why? Well, you're playing the same team the next night, and those guys don't want to lose either, right? So you're going to have a little bit more emphasis on what you're doing. So, my guess is if you really dissect the rest of the country, you're going to find that teams play better on Saturday night than they do on Friday.